Ever wondered how our thoughts can significantly influence our mood and behavior? Well, that's where cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, comes into play. It's a powerful tool used by psychologists worldwide to help individuals understand and change their patterns of thinking. Now let's dive a bit deeper. Cognitive behavioral therapy is based on the idea that our thoughts, feelings, and actions are all interconnected. Changing the way we think can alter the way we feel and behave, even in challenging circumstances. Imagine having a tool at your disposal that could help you manage your mood, regardless of what life throws your way. That's the power of CBT. But how exactly does CBT work? It's all about identifying and challenging unhelpful thoughts, learning practical self-help strategies, and using these skills in everyday life. With practice and guidance, CBT can help you break free from the grip of negative thinking patterns. Now you might be thinking, this sounds great, but does it really work? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. CBT has been scientifically proven to be effective in treating a wide range of mental health disorders, including depression, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive disorder, to name just a few. In the world of psychology, CBT is considered a gold standard treatment. That's because it doesn't just help individuals cope with their symptoms, but it gets to the root of the problem, helping to change the underlying thought patterns that fuel these disorders. So, whether you're grappling with a mood disorder, or just looking to better understand your thoughts and emotions, CBT offers a practical and scientifically backed approach. It's about empowering you to change your thinking so you can change your life. Remember, our thoughts are powerful. They can bring us down or they can lift us up. But when we learn to harness and control them, we unlock the potential to reshape our lives in profound ways. Understanding the connection between our thoughts, feelings, and behavior is the first step in managing mood disorders. So, let's take that step together as we delve deeper into the fascinating world of cognitive behavioral therapy. Do you know how our thoughts can create a ripple effect on our mood? It's a fascinating concept, isn't it? The way our mind works, our thoughts have such a profound impact on our mood. Imagine a pond, and each thought is like a pebble dropped into it. The ripples that spread out, those are our moods and emotions. Positive thoughts create pleasant ripples, while negative thoughts produce less enjoyable ones. And this is where cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, steps in. It's like a little toolkit for your mind, enabling you to sift through your thoughts, identify the negative ones, and challenge them. It's about breaking down those large, often overwhelming thought patterns into smaller, more manageable parts. Consider this. Instead of letting a negative thought plunge into your pond and disrupt the calm, CBT allows you to catch it, examine it, and if it's not serving you, toss it aside. By shifting our thought patterns, we can significantly influence our mood and well-being. What types of thoughts can lead us into a spiral of depression and anxiety? This question takes us into the very anatomy of our moods. First, let's consider the concept of all-or-nothing thinking. This is when we see things as black or white, good or bad, with no shades of gray. If we fail at one thing, we might feel like we've failed at everything, and this can lead us into a pit of despair. Another type of negative thought that can cause distress is overgeneralization. This is when we take one negative event and assume it's a never-ending pattern of defeat. For instance, if you have a disagreement with a friend, you might start thinking, I always ruin my friendships. This can create a sense of hopelessness and exacerbate feelings of anxiety or depression. Lastly, let's talk about mental filtering. This is when we filter out all the positive aspects of a situation and focus solely on the negatives. Imagine you've baked a cake, and it didn't turn out exactly as you'd hoped. Instead of acknowledging the parts that went well, like the taste or the texture, you might only focus on its appearance. This type of thinking can make us feel inadequate and can contribute to low mood. These negative thought patterns can be like quicksand. The more we engage with them, the deeper we sink into a depressive or anxious state. It's important to remember that these thoughts are not facts. They are interpretations of our experiences, colored by our mood, past experiences, and our beliefs about ourselves and the world. Once we recognize these patterns, we can challenge them. We can ask ourselves if we're really seeing the full picture or if we're letting our moods dictate our thoughts. By doing this, we start to gain control over our moods, rather than letting them control us. Recognizing these negative thought patterns is a crucial step towards managing mood disorders. So, let's not shy away from our thoughts. Instead, let's face them, understand them, and ultimately, change them. Did you know that certain cognitive distortions can lead to negative thinking patterns? Let's delve deeper into this topic. Firstly, cognitive distortions are simply ways that our mind convinces us of something that isn't really true. These inaccurate thoughts usually reinforce negative thinking or emotions, making us perceive reality inaccurately. Let's break down the 10 cognitive distortions. 1. All or nothing thinking. This is where we see things in black and white categories. If a situation falls short of perfect, we see it as a total failure. 2. Overgeneralization. Here we see a single negative event as a never-ending pattern of defeat by using words such as always or never when it isn't accurate. 3. Mental filter. This distortion involves picking out a single negative detail and dwelling on it exclusively, thus viewing the whole situation as negative. 4. Disqualifying the positive. We reject positive experiences by insisting they don't count for some reason or other, maintaining a negative belief that is contradicted by everyday experiences. 5. Jumping to conclusions. We interpret things negatively when there are no facts to support our conclusion. 6. Magnification or minimization. We blow things way out of proportion or shrink their importance inappropriately. 7. Emotional reasoning. We assume that our negative emotions necessarily reflect the way things really are. 8. Should statements. We try to motivate ourselves with shoulds and shouldn'ts, as if we had to be whipped and punished before we could be expected to do anything. 9. Labeling and mislabeling. It's an extreme form of overgeneralization where we attach a negative label to ourselves or to others. And finally, 10. Personalization. We see ourselves as the cause of some negative external event for which we were not primarily responsible. Each of these distortions influences our thoughts and can lead us down the path of negative thinking, impacting our mood and overall mental health. By identifying and understanding these distortions, we can take control of our thoughts and mood. How can we overcome these cognitive distortions that lead us into negative thinking patterns? That's the question, right? Well, it's simpler than you might think. Let's begin with mind reading, a common cognitive distortion where we presume to know what others are thinking. It's like having a crystal ball that we believe can predict another person's thoughts or intentions. But here's the thing about this cognitive magic trick. It's often wrong, and leads us down a path of negativity and anxiety. So, how do we overcome this? By challenging our assumptions. Ask yourself, do I have concrete evidence to support this thought? If the answer is no, then it's time to let that thought go. Now let's move on to some practical tools for managing mood disorders. One effective tool is the daily mood log. Just as it sounds, this involves charting out your mood throughout the day, noting down the events that trigger negative thoughts and emotions. This log can help us identify patterns and triggers, giving us a clearer understanding of our emotional landscape. Next up is the double column technique. Picture a page divided into 2 columns. In one, you jot down your distorted thought. In the other, you write a rational response to that thought. This technique allows us to directly challenge and change our negative thinking. Lastly, we have the semantic method. This involves replacing extreme language in our thoughts with more balanced and realistic language. For example, instead of saying, "I always mess things up," we can say, "Sometimes I make mistakes." This subtle shift in language can have a significant impact on our mood. Remember, overcoming cognitive distortions isn't about suppressing our thoughts. Instead, it's about recognizing, challenging, and changing them. It's about becoming more mindful of our thought patterns and learning to navigate them in a healthier way. With these tools and strategies, we can navigate our thought patterns and improve our mental health. It's a journey, and like any journey, it takes time. But rest assured, the destination is well worth the effort. So, what have we learned about managing our moods and thoughts? We've delved into the fascinating world of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and its power to help us overcome depression, anxiety, and other mood disorders. We've discovered how our thoughts can influence our moods, and how we can use CBT to change negative thinking patterns. We've examined the anatomy of mood and the different types of negative thoughts that can lead to depression and anxiety. We've explored cognitive distortions and how they can lead to negative thinking patterns. We've also looked at strategies to overcome these distortions, such as effective communication techniques and practical tools like the daily mood log, the double column technique, and the semantic method. The journey doesn't end here, though. I encourage you to continue using CBT to improve your mental health. Remember, understanding and managing our thoughts is key to better mental health. Thank you for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe for more informative content.